right?
will be.
So what do you mean? You change the truth of the Most High to a lie. Everything you thought was in the Bible, some years of serious consideration has now shown you that it's not even in the Bible.
This is about the way that I walk. You got an issue about the way that I talk.
I'ma give it to you.
For the brothers outlined in the chalk, Tamir Rice chilling out in the park.
I'ma give it to you.
And they don't know the way that I feel. On the mission now to tell you what's real.
I'ma give it to you.
While you're looking for a proper appeal, you want the gospel just to cop you a feel.
I'm not dealing with you.
I'm hitting on this track like it's magical. Place it with the classical, or make it international. You want the sympathetic, and I'm a little drastic though. Focus on my past, I'ma give you what you asking for. Save it for the fashion show. Talking about your church service, I ain't here to talk to you. Where the hell your pastor go? Lying through his teeth, preaching like he swear to God. Misleading people, now they act like they ain't scared of God. People looking for change, but choose to walk ahead of y'all. Make a tight beat, tell the truth in the song, and they head a nod. No change, no option of dodging flames. Dreams of cop in the range, sneakers, outfits, and chains. Nigga prophets explain why demon prophets remain. One ticket to hell, my niggas hop in the train. Y'all got a name to put the top prophets to shame. His name and his fame is stopping the pain. This is about the way that I walk. You got an issue about the way that I talk.
I'ma give it to you.
For the brothers outlined in the chalk, Tamir Rice chilling out in the park.
I'ma give it to you.
And they don't know the way that I feel. On the mission now to tell you what's real.
I'ma give it to you.
While you're looking for a proper appeal, you want the gospel just to cop you a feel.
I'm not dealing with you.
Didn't want to read it, receiving it from the Catholics. Mine couldn't conceive it, believing it from the Baptists. The Hebrews wasn't white, so they running all out of actors. Searching through the chapters and seeing they got it backwards. Kindly tell the truth, and the rage in them only escalated. Every word they hated, but none want to debate it. So what I'm supposed to do, let them fake it until they make it. Nah, I'm bowing to the idols, my power's vowing to take them down. Now I believe in smoking while Christians drinking the potion. Everybody's high on that lie when the demon's spoken. Alive on the rival with Bruce, we all awoke with. Vision kinda blurry, he's realigning the focus. Gotta tell the truth, if it fills the room or it clears it out. Peers don't wanna hear, so I'm filled with a lot of fears and doubts. You gave me the heart, so it's time to put the action in. Praises that I give you on earth will only be practicing. This is about the way that I walk. You got an issue about the way that I talk.
I'ma give it to you.
For the brothers outlined in the chalk, Tamir Rice chilling out in the park.
I'ma give it to you.
And they don't know the way that I feel. On the mission now to tell you what's real.
I'ma give it to you.
While you're looking for a proper appeal, you want the gospel just to cop you a feel.
I'm not dealing with you. All right. Shabbat shalom. Hopefully, my microphone is not echoing. I guess I don't know what happened last Bible study. When I watched it back, my mic was going in and out with the echoing. So if that happens, be sure and let me know. But if my audio and video is good, someone please put a one in the comments. All right, my good brother, father-in-law is on it. He says it's a go over in Facebook land, so we're good. All right. So, and I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's StreamYard or if that's, my mic set up, but we'll figure it out. All right. So let's go ahead and get Deuteronomy chapter 4 for devotion. We're talking about you must love your brother. All right. That's one of the most important messages in the scriptures that is neglected. Me personally, when I see the back and forth with Hebrews on Facebook, I scroll past it. Contentious brews. I'll be honest with you, I delete some of those people. That's just showing, in my opinion, that you are still stuck in the curses of Deuteronomy 28. And we'll get to that. We'll address it. I don't want to get ahead of myself. But Shabbat Shalom, Brother Chick. Good to see you. He says I'm good over in YouTube land. All right, so let's go ahead and get Deuteronomy chapter 4. We're going to read it in its entirety. Let me get the parallel for the KJV subscribers. All right, and it reads, "And now, O Israel, listen to the laws and the right rulings which I am teaching you to do, so that you live, and shall go on in and possess the land which Yahweh your Elohim of your fathers is giving you. Do not add to the word which I command you, and do not take away from it, so as to guard the commands of Yahweh your Elohim, which I am commanding you. Your eyes have seen what Yahweh did at Baal Peor, for Yahweh your Elohim has destroyed from your midst all the men who followed Baal Peor. But you are clinging to Yahweh your Elohim, are alive today, every one of you. See, I have taught you laws and right rulings. And Yahweh my Elohim commanded me to do thus in the land which you go to possess. And you shall guard and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding before the eyes of the peoples who hear all these laws. And they shall say, only a wise and understanding people is this great nation. For what great nation is there which has Elohim so near to it as Yahweh our Elohim is to us whenever we call on him? And what great nation is there that has such laws and righteous right rulings like all this Torah which I set before you this day? Only guard yourselves and guard your life diligently, lest you forget the words your eyes have seen, and lest they turn aside from your heart all the days of your life. And you shall make them known to your children and to your grandchildren. The day when you stood before Yahweh your Elohim in Horeb, Yahweh said to me, assemble the people to me, and I make them hear my words, so that they learn to fear me all the days they live on the earth, and teach them to their children. And you came near and stood at the foot of the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire to the heart of the heavens, darkness, cloud, and thick darkness. And Yahweh spoke to you out of the midst of the fire. You heard a voice of words, but saw no form. You only heard a voice. And he made known to you his covenant which he commanded you to do, the 10 words, and he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone. And Yahweh commanded me at that time to teach you laws and right rulings, for you to do them in the land which you pass over to possess. Therefore diligently guard yourselves, for you saw no form when Yahweh spoke to you at Horeb out of the midst of the fire, lest you should do corruptly, and shall make for yourselves a carved image in the form of any figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any beast that is on the earth, or the likeness of any winged bird that flies in the heavens, and the likeness of any creature that creeps on the ground, or the likeness of any fish that is in the water under the earth. Unless you lift up your eyes to the heavens, and shall see the sun and the moon and the stars, all the hosts of heaven, and you be drawn away into bowing down to them and serving them, which Yahweh your Elohim has allotted to all the peoples under all the heavens. But Yahweh has taken you and brought you out of the iron furnace, out of Mizraim, to be his people and inheritance as it is today. And Yahweh has enlarged our Slakia, and Yahweh was enraged with me because of your words, and swore that it would not pass over the Jordan, and that I would not enter the good land which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you as an inheritance. For I am to die in this land, and I am not passing over the Jordan, but you are passing over and shall possess that good land. Guard yourselves, lest you forget the covenant of Yahweh your Elohim, which he made with you, and shall make for yourselves a carved image in any form, as Yahweh your Elohim has commanded you. For Yahweh Elohim is a consuming fire, a jealous Elohim. When you brought forth children and grandchildren, and shall grow old in the land, and shall do corruptly, and make carved images in the form of whatever, and shall do what is evil in the eyes of Yahweh your Elohim to provoke him, I shall call the heavens and earth to witness against you on that day, and that you soon completely perish from the land which you possess over the Jordan to possess. You do not prolong your days in it, but are completely destroyed. And Yahweh shall scatter you among the people, and you shall be left few in number among the nations where Yahweh drives you. And there you shall serve mighty ones, the work of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see nor hear nor eat nor smell. But from there you shall seek Yahweh your Elohim, and shall find when you search for him with all your heart and with all your being. In your distress, when all these words shall come upon you in the latter days, then you shall return to Yahweh your Elohim and shall obey his voice. For Yahweh your Elohim is a compassionate Elohim. He does not forsake you, nor destroy you, nor forget the covenant of your fathers which he swore to them. For ask now of the days that are past, which were before you since the days that Elohim created man on the earth, and ask from one end of the heavens to the other ends of the heaven, whether there has been a word as great as this, or has been heard like it. Shalakia 33, verse 33. Has a people heard the voice of Elohim speaking out of the midst of the fire, as you have heard and lived? Or has Elohim tried to go and take for himself a nation from the midst of a nation by trials and by signs and by wonders and by battle and by a strong hand and an outstretched arm and by great fearsome deeds, according to all that Yahweh your Elohim did for you in Mizraim before your eyes? You have been shown to know that Yahweh himself is Elohim. There is no one beside him. From the heavens he let you hear his voice to instruct you. On the earth he showed you great fire, and you heard his words out of the midst of the fire. And because he loved your fathers, therefore he chose their seed after them, and brought you out of Egypt, out of Mizraim, with his presence, with his great power, to drive out from before you nations greater and stronger than you, to bring you in, to give you their land as an inheritance, as it is today. And you shall know today, and shall recall to your heart, Yahweh himself is Elohim in the heavens above and on the earth beneath. There is none else. Verse 40. And you shall guard his laws and his commands, which I command you today, so that it is well with you and with your children after you, so that you prolong your days on the soil which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you for all time. Then Moses separated 3 cities beyond the Jordan toward the rising of the sun, for a manslayer to flee there, he who unknowingly murdered his neighbor without having hated him in time past, and might flee to one of these cities and live. Bester in the wilderness, in the level land of the Reubenites, and Ramoth and Gilead for the Gadites, and Golan for Bashan for the Mishanites. And this is the Torah which Moshe set before the children of Israel. These are witnesses and the laws and the right rulings which Moshe spoke to the children of Israel after they came out of Mizraim, before the Jordan, in the valley opposite Baeth Peor, in the land of Shion, sovereign or king of the Amorites, who dwelt in Heshbon, whom Moses and Moshe and the children of Israel had stricken after they came out of Mizraim. And they took possession of his land and the land of Og, king of Bashan, 2 kings of the Amorites, who were beyond the Jordan toward the rising of the sun, from Aor, which is on the bank of Wadi Arnon, even to Mount Seor or Sion, which is Hermon, and all the desert plain before the Jordan, as far as the sea of Arab, below the slopes of Pisgah. All right. The Most High's word is already blessed. We're going to go ahead and get into the PowerPoint. Love thy brother, right? You must love your brother. And we're going to get into the importance of loving your brother and everything that it has to do with the scriptures, with the commandments of the Most High, why it's important, and to show you the parallel of why our people are in the state that they are in today. All right. The fact that we don't love each other the way that the Bible tells us, the way that the Most High instructs us, is pure evidence of who the people of the Bible are, right? There is no people on this planet who hate themselves and hate their brothers like, the Most High's chosen people. It's a stratagem. It was engineered. We're programmed that way, and we must break that cycle in order to get back into right standing with the Most High Yah. It doesn't matter how much you have knowledge, how much you have changed as far as culturally into the Hebraic faith. If you don't love your brother, you are still on the outside looking in. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. Let me take myself off the extra screen. All right. And get some water in me. Because that reading, I was struggling a little bit. And let me check my sound real quick, making sure my all right, mic check. Let me turn this background music down some, just a little bit. So hopefully we're good. Hopefully we are good. Let's go ahead and get into it. Right. You must love your brother. Let's get 1 Peter chapter 1 and verse 22. Right. It says, having purified your souls by the obedience to the truth, for a sincere brotherly love, love one another earnestly from a pure heart. Right. Jump into John chapter 13, verses 34 through 35. It says, a new commandment I give to you, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you also are to love one another. By this, all people will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another. Right? That's the evidence that you are the Most High's people. You are under the covenant, the renewed covenant, that you are a disciple and a follower of Christ Yahushua. All right? If you love your brother, that is the evidence, right, that you are his disciple. Let's get 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 and verse 9. It says, now concerning brotherly love, you have no need for anyone to write to you, for you yourselves have been taught by Elohim to love one another. Okay. Romans 12 verses 9 and 10 says, let love be genuine. Abhor what is evil. That means hate what is evil. All right. Hold fast to what is good. Love one another with brotherly affection. Outdo one another in showing honor. Okay. If you're going to compete with one another, compete in loving each other is what he's saying right here. All right. Outdo one another. It's crazy. Let me read that one again. Let love be genuine. Abhor what is evil. Hold fast to what is good. Love one another with brotherly affection. Outdo one another in showing honor. Okay. And lastly, let's go ahead and get Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 18. All right. It says, you shall not take vengeance or bear a grudge against the sons of your own people. Okay. So that black on black crime that the kids out here having ops and this, that, and the third is all because they don't know who they are. See, that's why it's important for us to shed light on the scriptures that the pastor won't show. All right. And show our people who they are so they'll understand the position that they're supposed to be in. They only are on opposite sides, so on and so forth, because they don't know who they are. Right. They don't know who they are. But listen, let me read Leviticus 19 and 18 again. You shall not take vengeance or bear a grudge against the sons of your own people. Right. But you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am Yahweh. Right. Sincere command from the Most High, Yah. Let's get it. You must love your brother. It sounds easy enough, right? Because you can make your mouth say whatever you want it to say. But let's get into it. Sounds easy, right? But why is it so hard? All right. Why are we engineered to be against one another? Right. Let's look at the abstract. Today, homicide is the leading cause of death among young black men. Right, so-called black men, and contribute significantly to the shortened lifespan of the so-called black male. In about 80 to 90% of the cases, the so-called black victim was killed by another so-called black man, right? Or, you know what I'm saying? It says, and about 52% of the murder victims were acquainted with their assailant, meaning they knew who they were, right? They knew each other. They wasn't strangers. So let's get into this introduction real quick. Just as we accept that suicide victims are psychologically impaired, right? We must acknowledge that a murderer is similarly impaired, and so-called blacks, for both environmental and political reasons, are likely to reflect emotional predispositions that allow them to more readily become a homicide statistic, right? So what does that word predisposition mean, right? It simply means, as a noun, a liability or tendency to suffer from a particular condition, hold a particular attitude, or act in a particular way, right? That's what it means to have a predisposition. And it's not a coincidence, all right, that our brothers have an evil eye towards one another. That's also prophecy. We'll get there. Why is it so hard when brothers can't help but to be in competition with one another, right? Always trying to outdo one another, right? Projected self-hatred facilitates blind rage and gives the perpetrator of the violent attack a sense of legitimacy and justification. You know what I'm saying? Feeling like they were justified in that wicked act of murder, so on and so forth. And it's so prevalent now. If you are somebody who is aware of drill music, you know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna get into that whole conversation, but you see where it's going, okay? They feel a sense of legitimacy and justification in doing what they thought was the thing to do, right? But let's get it. Let's hear Dr. Umar if I got it. No, it didn't play. We didn't hear it. We don't need to hear it. We've been there. Love to hate, all right? The self-destructive cycle of so-called black self-hatred, right? The Most High commanded us. What did he command us in Leviticus 19 and 18? Let's get to it. The tragic phenomenon of self-hatred within the so-called black community is a deeply ingrained and systematic issue. Often, it manifests its self-destructive behaviors and a pervasive sense of inferiority, perpetrated through generations. This complex web of self-loathing, internalized racism can be traced back to a history of systematic oppression and exploitation, right? So, from a biblical perspective, these issues can also be viewed as part of the curses described in the scriptures, affecting the descendants of the Israelites, often identified as Elohim's chosen people. Okay, and we'll bring it out. The historical context of black self-hatred. All right, historically, the transatlantic slave trade, colonization, and Jim Crow laws played significant roles in the systematic dehumanization of so-called black people. These historical injustices fostered an environment where so-called black individuals were made to feel inferior and worthless, right? And that's why you see the popularity in the sexy reds, and they act like that's something to be desired, and they're entertained by it, right? That's dehumanization of so-called black people, you know what I'm saying, and giving in to that feeling of feeling inferior and worthless, right? This environment of sustained oppression created a psychological landscape where self-hatred could flourish, right? All of that colonization and Jim Crow and the slave trade, so on and so forth, you know what I mean? It wasn't dealt with properly. It wasn't dealt with biblically, all right? And so, you know what I'm saying, it's just gotten worse. All right, the role of systematic oppression, all right? The policies, right? Let's deal with it because it was engineered. The policies and social structures established during and after slavery were designed to strip so-called black people of their culture, identity, and humanity, right? Understand that, right? The policies and social structures established during and after slavery were designed to strip so-called black people of their culture, identity, and humanity. For instance, slave owners deliberately separated families, forbade the use of native languages, and enforced European cultural norms, effectively erasing the heritage and identities of enslaved Africans, right? Or the Most High's chosen people. That's why you no longer know who you are, and the curses are for a sign and a wonder, okay? They'll be put upon you for a sign and a wonder, so you can identify yourself through these curses. But let's get back to it. These actions not only subjugated so-called black people physically, but also aimed to crush their spirits and instill a sense of inferiority. That's where our people are today, going to the ballot boxes trying to vote their salvation or their freedom, okay? Trying to vote away their oppression. We have to get back to keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. Let's get the biblical perspective of the curses of obedience, of disobedience, right? The biblical perspective, curses of disobedience. From a biblical standpoint, the plight of so-called black people can be seen as a fulfillment of the curses described in the book of Deuteronomy, all right, and Leviticus 26 and other scriptures, but we're going to focus on Deuteronomy 28, all right. Elohim laid out blessings for obedience and curses for disobedience to the Israelites. And verses 15 through 68 details the consequences of turning away from Elohim, many of which eerily parallel the experiences of so-called black people throughout history. Let's get it. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 15 and 16. It says, "But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy Elohim, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. All right. Now, this passage speaks to the pervasive nature of the curses, indicating that disobedience will result in widespread suffering, regardless of one's location. Right. So it doesn't matter where you go, these curses are going to pursue you and overtake you. Okay. Let's get verses 28 and 29. It says, Yahweh shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. And thou shalt grope at noonday as a blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways. And thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall what? Save thee. Okay? These verses describe a state of confusion, mental anguish, a persistent oppression, conditions that can be seen as reflective of the psychological impact of systematic racism and the ongoing struggles within the so-called black community, right? It is what it is. Let's get verse 37. It says, and thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among who? All nations, whether Yahweh shall lead thee. All right? Now understand, this prophecy highlights the loss of identity, the scorn faced by the Israelites, similar to how so-called black people have been derogatorily labeled and marginalized throughout history. Okay, you can't make this up. This is only talking about one people, right? And we have a self-destructive nature. We love to hate, right? The curses described in Deuteronomy can be seen as a spiritual explanation for the historical and ongoing challenges faced by so-called black people, right? And not only can it be seen as a spiritual explanation, it is what it is. It's for a sign and for a wonder, so you can know who you are and get back into the covenanted relationship with the Most High Yah. Get back to keeping His commandments. Try obedience. You tried everything else. Now, this understanding can provide a framework for comprehending the deeply rooted issues of self-hatred and self-destruction within the community. Okay. We have what is known as internalized racism. Okay, that's why your eye is evil towards your brother. Okay, internalized racism occurs when marginalized groups adopt the racist attitudes and beliefs of the dominant culture. Okay, that's why you got people. You have people who have melanin skin, but they have European minds. They're like the dude on Get Out, right? How they were taking the so-called black dude and putting white personalities in them, putting a white person in them, so on and so forth. That's how you have people running around today. They don't want to be who they were created to be. They want to be who their oppressors said. You know what I'm saying? They want to be like their oppressors. Not only that, they have Stockholm syndrome. But let's get back to it. For so-called black people, this often means accepting stereotypes about their own inferiority and unworthiness. This internalization can lead to self-sabotaging behaviors such as substance abuse, violence, and a lack of ambition, perpetuating a cycle of poverty and oppression. Okay, this thing is engineered. It is what it is. These people know who you are, and you don't. Okay. All right. The need for healing. All right. Breaking the cycle requires a multifaceted approach, including psychological healing, community support, and a return to spiritual roots. Embracing a positive self-identity, reconnecting with cultural heritage, right, and fostering a sense of community can help combat the effects of internalized racism, i.e., returning back to keeping the commandments of the Most High Yah, right? You don't want to do that and separate yourself from the world, you're going to be stuck there, all right? Where's the love? Projected self-hatred facilitates blind rage and gives the perpetrator of the violent attack a sense of legitimacy and justification. We just read this. Self-hate facilitates the desire to want to outdo one another, stun on one another, and let's not forget how innate the desire to be respected is in men in general, right? So we're so-called blacks are killing and dying in the streets over the shadow of respect or the lack thereof. Okay, just assuming that they was disrespected, ready to go to war, right? Against who? right? Not against any other nation but their own. This is not by coincidence or chance. Let's get 1 John chapter 2 and verse 9. Let's look at 9 through 11. It says, the one who says he is in the light and hates his brother is in darkness even until now. Okay, that's why I don't go back and forth with Hebrews on the Facebook joint, right? Because they disagree with this scripture, so on and so forth, and the hate is just so ugly, right? A lot of these brothers get deleted. I don't have time for that. And notice we don't have a contentious ministry. You believe it that way, you can believe it that way. It is what it is. But let's get back to it. That's neither here nor there. The one who says he is in the light and hates his brother is in darkness until now. All right. The one who loves his brother stays in the light, and there is no stumbling block in him. But the one who hates his brother is in the darkness and walks in the darkness and does not know where he is going because the darkness has blinded his eyes. Right? You have to love your brother or none of it works. In addition, right, to why it's so hard, so-called blacks have been indoctrinated, all right, by a criminal justice system which places higher value on a white life than on a black life. While psychological study of homicide offenders and victims is difficult and not easily quantifiable, it is important to explore such variables in so-called black communities. All right. Or let me read that again. It is important to explore such variables in so-called black community violence. Right. Why this situation is so prevalent. Right. You must love your brother. They must pay attention as well to Salakia. They must pay attention as well to negative psychological dynamics and the so-called black experience that contribute to an interscene victimization, right? Those stereotypes that they play on TV for us, right? Put in movies for us. Tyler Perry is notorious for showing you images of the worst kind of so-called black man, right? And he gets paid millions for it. That's for a reason. When you see this on TV, and matter of fact, Pastor Darby, before he passed away, he did a sermon. Mic check. All right. So it was StreamYard. StreamYard tried to play me. And I wonder how far back it went. Let me see. All right. I'm going to start back over here. Just in case StreamYard is on that bullcrap. And like I was saying, but I was talking to myself when I did. It's like a message like this is going to get sabotaged because, you know what I'm saying, the enemy does not want it. He doesn't want it to get out, you know what I'm saying? And we got to fight the good fight. It is what it is. And hopefully we're making our case. Let me scroll back even further. You know what I'm saying? Oh, he said it dropped right when I said Pastor Darby. Okay. Cool. Yeah, because Pastor Darby had made he had did a sermon. He was talking about Hollywood, right? He was talking about how the Ashkenazi Jews wanted us to see ourselves. So that whole black exploitation thing, when they was talking about, like, when they were talking like, hey, jive turkey and all of that other stuff, black people didn't talk like that. All right. It was only until we saw ourselves on the screen that we adopt that attitude. All right. And that culture. So that's what we were. So let me find out where I was. All right. They must pay attention as well to negative psychological dynamics and the so-called black experience that contribute to interscene victimization. All right, so hopefully we're back on track, but we'll get into it. Why are we engineered? All right, the reason we're engineered and the reason we love to hate is because of the curse of Deuteronomy 28 verse 54. So let's go ahead and get it. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully I can pick my flow back up. But anyways, it says, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil towards his brother. All right. Evidence of the curse. It says, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. All of these things are explained in the scriptures. And we just told you and showed you how that situation, or how the system has engineered and manufactured that in so-called black people. Let's get 1 John chapter 3, looking at verses 14 through 16. It says, all right, we know that we have passed out of death into life, because we love the brothers. The one not loving his brother stays in death. Everyone hating his brother is a murderer. All right. And you know that no murderer has everlasting life staying in him. By this we have known love, because he laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for the brethren. Right. So how do we get here? Okay. Three things. All right. Three things that we're going to focus on how we got here. One is prophecy. All right. It's dealing with Deuteronomy 28, 15 through 68. Ignorance and our enemies. Right. Prophecy, ignorance, enemies. We catch a lot of flack for not living up to societal norms. But a lot of us don't realize we were programmed that way. We were programmed and engineered to be that way. Generation after generation after generation. No, it's not an excuse, but it should explain the condition, all right, a little bit better. And if we want to change this situation, the Most High has given us the recipe. Come back to keeping my law, statutes, and commandments, right? Let's get it. Deuteronomy 28, verse 15, it says, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy Elohim, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. All right. Hosea 4 and 6, right? Dealing with the ignorance. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing that thou hast forgotten the law of thy Elohim, and I will also forget thy children. Right? This is how we got here. And our enemies. Let's get Zechariah chapter 11, looking at verses 5 through 7. It says, whose possessors slay them. Right? Now this is the engineering thing. All right? Because it breaks it down. It doesn't just name so-called oppressors, right? It names everybody that's involved. It says, whose oppressors slay them and hold themselves not guilty, right? We see that on TV. And they that sell them say, blessed be Yahweh, for I am rich. No, they say, blessed be the Lord, right? Blessed be the Lord, for I am rich. And their own shepherds are pastors, right? The ones who lead us and tell us this, that, and the third, right? Who copied the religion of white supremacy. Pity them not. The one who teach them, you know what I'm saying, to turn the other cheek and this, that, and the third. And we're all one and kumbaya, all of that, right? Those are all your enemies. Anybody that tells you to go against what the Most High says is an enemy, right? He's not for you, he's against you. So we have prophecy, ignorance, and enemies is how we got in this situation. Our people are dying for a lack of knowledge, right? They think they have ops instead of brothers. That's the sad part about it. They think they have ops instead of brothers. My people, Judah, right? My people are Judah, but they turned into shooters on ops in the streets. They don't know that they are bruised, right? They don't know that they have been given a charge to love their brothers. They think that's an op. That's such an ugly word. That's not an op. You are the Most High's chosen people, and that's your brother, right? The hate is connected to the prophecy of who we are. That's the sad reality, right? That's the sad reality. Let's get Amos chapter 3 and verse 2, because the Most High says this: you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities, right? When you go down to the park, because a bunch of kids is acting up, the only one you allowed to whoop is yours, right? That's how the Most High sees us, right? That's why this whole thing is connected. The hate is connected to the prophecy of who we are. Verse 28, Deuteronomy 28 and verse 28. Yahweh shall smite thee with what? Madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. And verse 45, it says, moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee, overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not to the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he command thee this day, right? They want us continuing and disobeying the Most High and not getting back to keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, so our children can get worse and worse and worse, right? The Most High says, my people perish for lack of knowledge, right? Because you have rejected knowledge, I will reject you. And not only does he says he will reject us, he says, and our children. Okay, let's get it. You must love your brother. It's time to see the truth. All right, what does Psalm 106 verse 40 and 41 say? It says, therefore was the wrath of Yahweh kindled against his people, insomuch that he abhorred his own inheritance, and he gave them into the hand of the heathen, and they that hated them ruled over them. Right? They that hated them ruled over them. The hate is connected to the prophecy of who you are. Christianity cannot tell you that, right? Ask your pastor, if God is love, then why do black people suffer more than any other people, right? Why do whites own and operate everything? What is the cause? See, not only can Christianity, not only can't Christianity give you salvation and truth, it can't give you simple knowledge, such as who the true Hebrews are and who the real Gentiles are, right? In fact, Christianity can't even teach you the Bible. Christianity uses the Bible to teach Christianity. That's the difference. Let me say that again. Christianity does not teach the Bible. It uses the Bible to teach Christianity. Remember that. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verses 7 and 9. What did it say? Because we read this for devotion. For what great nation is there which has Elohim so near to it, as Yahweh, our Elohim, is to us whenever we call on him? All right. And what great nation is there that has such laws and right rulings like all this Torah which I set before you this day? Right? None. Only, this is the conclusion. Only guard yourselves, guard your life diligently, lest you forget the words your eyes have seen, and lest they turn aside from your heart and all the days of your life. Salakia. and lest they turn aside from your heart all the days of your life. And you shall make them known to your children and your grandchildren. That is our charge. Hold on, let me do something real quick. Because, yeah, we're about out of here. And hopefully, you know what I'm saying, that interruption didn't break us up too much. All right. But it says, the self-destructive behavior seen within the so-called black community can be traced back to a systemic oppression and the biblical curses described in Deuteronomy. Let me read that again. The self-destructive behavior seen within the so-called black community can be traced back to a history of systematic oppression and the biblical curses described in Deuteronomy. Understanding these roots is crucial for addressing the issue and working towards healing and empowerment. By acknowledging the past and striving for a future built on self-love, unity, and spiritual growth, so-called black people can begin to break free from the cycle of self-hatred and reclaim their identity and dignity. Okay? And all of it, whether you want to accept it or not, all right, hinges on you coming back to covenant agreement with the Most High and keeping His law, statutes, and commandments, right? We won't get anywhere or any better until we come into the knowledge that we are the Most High's chosen people, right? It starts there. That's how you connect the dots to how we got here and the whys, right? The hows and the whys and the whens. When will it be lifted? When will it be? When will we be set free? All right. Deuteronomy chapter 30. We covered that last Shabbat, right? It is what it is. Hold on, let me get this together real quick. All right. Brother Chick, come in and give us some wisdom, Mark. Shabbat shalom, fam.
Shabbat shalom, brother. Great lesson, right on time, and the pause didn't mess anything up, man. You came back in perfectly. What really jumped out to me was you bringing out the scripture on basically like competitively loving each other as brothers. I think that's really valuable. It's something I felt but never been able to put into words. I think of often, I can think of specifically a time when I told some good friends of mine that we all grew up with, maybe a year or two older than me, told them they were my heroes, and they took me as I was joking. You know what I'm saying? Because we're not used to hearing each other talk to them that way. And I had to be really firm, like, nah. But y'all think because we're the adults now and I looked up to you as a kid, I still don't now. It's like we constantly give each other props for foolishness, but never for real things. I look up to you. You meant so much to me growing up. You did so much for me that you didn't even know. You know what I'm saying? And I myself not good at hearing that, but that's what I was getting out of that competitive love. And it also took me back to, and you brought this up in ministry before, when you talk about love is holding each other accountable. And we don't do a good job of that at all as a people. We give each other breaks for a lot of things we shouldn't because we're afraid to lose one another. But when you love each other competitively, when you love each other so much, you give a cachet to be able to hold someone accountable because they know. I had to have a conversation with someone last week, and I was nervous about it because I know some other people have had this conversation and it hadn't went well. And, you know, that person got upset. And I was nervous that I might lose this person, but I'm like, I have to have this conversation. I'm worried about this person. And I led with, you know how much I love you. You know I've always been here for you and I always will. And we went into it. I don't know if it made a change, but it was acceptable. And all I could go was, that person knows I love them. When we love each other so intently that there's no question, you allow yourself the ability to go, now I'm going to tell you some things I see you're doing that I don't think are good for you. And you have a better chance of them listening. And I think that's what we're missing. We don't let each other know how much we love and appreciate each other. We let each other know how cool we are. Man, that was cool how you did that. I like that outfit. I like how you did, you know, when coming up, you was the man. We let each other know all that type of stuff. But we don't do things like, no, I really love you, man. I really appreciate this one little thing you did for me. You know, I've had people in my life, why'd you come through for me in this situation? Because when I was little, you made me feel seen and you didn't even know it. That's why I did this. Like, we don't remind each other of the real cool stuff we do for each other. And we've got so off track. I would argue, like you brought up the plan that's been put against us. I would argue they don't even have to implement that plan anymore. It's in autopilot now. We do it ourselves. We go out and influence each other. And I would argue other races to do the foolish side of us. You know, I told my daughter the other day, I see a lot of other nationalities behaving like us in all the worst ways, because we are wherever we like it or not, we are the leaders. People have been following us forever. They have us on autopilot to where we're leading in all the worst ways now. I see white people, Asian people, whatever, copying all the stuff we do that's not cool at all. I remember when my sister was young, she told me, I forget the artist, but it was a white artist. She's like, I think she almost black because she just don't give a F. And I'm like, oh, that's what black is, not giving a F. We've completely got off the map. And back to what you're saying, if we get back to really holding each other up for the real cool stuff we do, the real things we've done for each other to help us get through all the horrible times that we may have seen, we can get back to that point. But what I really got out of this was, and I'm gonna hold on to it, is competitively loving each other, because we definitely don't do that. That's all I got. Appreciate it. Hope I was able to add to it.
Oh, you most certainly were. And I appreciate that, fam. You know what I'm saying? And highlighting that because we do need to we do need to have that approach. You know what I'm saying? Outdo each other with the love. You know, not only that, we have to understand what the Most High calls love in comparison to what the world calls love, because a lot of folks will be like, if you don't agree with me, you don't love me. You know what I'm saying? But you have to love people enough to tell them the truth, right? I know a lot of black pastors, you know what I'm saying, are against a message like this because they received the gospel as an inclusive situation, right? That inclusivity is going to keep us where we are as a people, all right? We have to love people enough to let them know that they are the Most High's chosen people, okay? And until we get back to keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments, we're going to be in a lower state in this life, right? That's the reality, right? The Most High said, come out from amongst them and be ye separate. The message in the church is, no, we need to come together and unify. That's not Bible, right? And at the same time, we have to hold ourselves accountable, right? Hold ourselves accountable. Get out of that competition. Well, I mean, what are we competing for? What are we competing for, right? We serve the same Elohim. We read the same book. We keep the laws. We honor the Sabbath day. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to agree on everything. We don't have to agree on the names and, you know what I'm saying, and the dates or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But that doesn't mean we need to be, you know what I'm saying, at each other, right? We need to love each other, you know what I'm saying? And it doesn't matter if you agree with this ministry or not, I still love you, right? Still love you as a brother, and I'm not going to contend with any of my brothers, you know what I'm saying, as we're awakening, right? The Most High is fixing all of our visions. We don't see perfectly. We see in the glass, right? Half dim, like Paul said, right? We see in part and know in part, but soon we'll know all, right? So until that happens, learn to love one another. Get back into these laws, statutes, and commandments. That's only the way the Most High is going to turn our captivity, right? And teach this to your children and to your grandchildren. We gotta fix these generational curses. People don't really understand that going to church on Sunday and adopting that ideology of Christianity is a generational curse that needs to be broken. We need to get back into keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments, because we've tried everything on this planet except for obedience, right? Try obedience, and then if that don't work, then, you know what I'm saying, do you. But you can't knock something you ain't tried yet, right? Obey the scriptures, obey the Most High Yah. All right, that being the case, I'm not going to overtalk it. I appreciate you, Brother Chick, and thanks for coming through, you know what I'm saying, and adding to the wisdom. The Most High willing, we'll be back next Shabbat with another Bible study. If you got something out of this Bible study, you know what I'm saying, just give it a good thumbs up, a like, or whatnot, you know what I'm saying. We appreciate you. All right, like we say, the Most High willing, we'll be back next Shabbat. So enjoy the rest of your Shabbat. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
My eyes on the prize, no lies for the youth. You gotta love them enough to tell them the truth. The reason why they killing and they dying in these streets, they don't know who they is. They don't know who they is. So preachers in pulpit lying through their teeth. I can never hate them, but we do got beef. The reason why they lawless and they hate to hear the truth. They don't know who they is. They don't know who they is. Yahweh, we love you. Yahweh, we love you, we thank, we praise your comely name. This vessel is all yours. Take it over, have your way.